But the first thing I'm gonna do is the simplest, which is just like a teacup that I just passed around. And I pre-threw the cylinders because I didn't want to spend a lot of time showing you how inept I am at throwing, so.
Yeah.
So pre-made the cylinders. And for faceting, you want to make the cylinder thicker than you would normally, because you're going to cut away a lot of the clay. And I do it in stages. If I made these every day, all day, I probably could skip the second stage. But, when you cut a facet, and I'm using this, you can buy these from our wonderful store. If you are really good at it and you can cut it straight down, and perfect, good for you. I can't. So that's not how I do it. I'll cut the facets with this guy here, and then when it's leather hard, then I make it look much better with the scraper, which we also sell here, and then eventually sand everything. So it's really pretty straightforward. I'll pick I usually line up with the screws in the wheel head.
John?
Yep.
What kind of clay are you using?
Oh, this is stony white. Stony
Is that
white.
leather hard or is that?
No, this is wet.
threw it?
I mean,
Okay.
I just threw it about
Okay.
an hour ago. But the thing is, you want to cut the facets the same depth on every side. So I mark a ring about 1/8 of an inch. This is 3/8 of an inch thick. So like 1/8 of an inch from the edge, I'll put a line for myself, so that when I go around cutting these facets, they, they're somewhat equal. I mean, they're never totally equal, but,
So you said 1/8 of an inch from the edge, from the inner edge or the outer edge?
outer edge. Outer edge. And I put this at about a 45-degree angle. Now, the limitation is that obviously the wheel head's there, so I mean, you end up having to lower it like this, and at the same time, kind of push in so that, you're cutting an equal piece. But in the long run, it doesn't matter if it's, like perfect, because if you're me, you're gonna go back and fix it, so. And I just keep my eye on one side.
Saying is he does it very narrow to begin with, and then goes back to the next one.
And then I go to the opposite side.
It's limited by the gizmo he's holding. That's the technical term, the gizmo.
You know what I'm saying? It's like, he's gonna go on the opposite side.
Yeah,
Can we see that piece that you?
see, now I was.
Here, lift it up.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
So then I'll go to the 90 degrees.
So you're taking off about 1/8 of an inch at the top? Or not that much?
1/8 of an inch. I go right up to the circle with that square mark.
Okay.
See, so that's one of the initiatives.
So you can see these, these facets are rippled and, not even. But It'll all get better. Ah, there was a piece of string in there.
Oh, wow.
Well, this was some recycled clay. So.
We know it wasn't your hair.
That's not
Sorry, John.
John, are you surprised it wasn't me that made that snotty comment?
Okay. So then we do the interim ones. A while back, I was making a piece, I was throwing a, I don't know, bowl or something, and I kept hitting some bump, and I thought it was a, you know, a air bubble. No, it was a rubber band. And then I hit another bubble, and it was a piece of, you know, the moleskin kind of thing that I use on the edges. And then there was, I forget, there was something else. There were like 3 things, Mike. So,
Other side.
and, yeah, where's my tool bag? Yeah. That's the thing that was in the middle of my,
The whole thing?
yeah, the whole thing.
Oh, my God.
So I'm just gonna. And now I'm gonna trim away, you know, this, the bottom here is quite thick because the inside of the cup is only about 2.5 inches down there. So it is much wider. And, you know, when I finish it, it'll have a nice taper to it. Now, what you do next is you let this get leather hard, but we don't have time for that, so. So I happen to have one that is leather hard. So. So here it's leather hard. It's basically that, only, well, this one's a little smaller, but what you do is, have you folks got, have this thing? Yeah.
John, I couldn't quite see the bottom. How did you get that band around the bottom? Which tool was it?
Oh,
Ah, okay.
so it's a trim
And
tool.
then
Let
he
me,
used the smaller one.
I'm just gonna, I guess you can see it better in the mirror, huh?
Are you scraping the flat side?
Yeah. Scraping. And I'm gonna take a lot of clay out of the bottom here. Because I can tell just by looking at it with my finger there that it, you know, it's still pretty thick down there, so.
This is basically a more conservative way of taking off more clay rather than trying it again with the wire.
Oh, yeah, that would be.
Suicide, huh?
Yeah, well, I mean, faceting, you ruin a lot of pieces. I mean, it just happens, you know. And I, you know, you're constantly, it's a battle between, you know, I'd really like it to be lighter, so, you know, it doesn't, the shape, I gotta fix that to shape it just a little bit, and oops, oh, there's a hole. So, but there are ways to fix the holes. I'm an expert at
Next demo.
it.
Hole fixing 101.
So,
You're just getting the ripples out of there.
yeah, yeah.
It's thinning it so that there's less clay there. The container is lighter.
You really get a lot of weight out of it doing this. But, you know, this creates a texture. And some people like the texture. You can, you know, you can keep the texture, or you can do what I do afterwards, and that is sand it. I have a strong recommendation on how to do that. You know, I don't like to take too much off the ring, but sure.
Gets pretty thin there, huh?
Yeah. So, now, I mean, I could keep doing this for another hour. I mean, you know, it's just not, you're not gonna wanna watch that, so, but, you know, you wanna have a nice foot on this, so I will trim a foot. And, it's a little tricky to trim the foot because just because it's a little more difficult to center. I got a bag of clay down there. You know, I mean, if these facets were all absolutely equal, everything, you know, it would center quite easily, but they're not. However, you do have this circle here, and that's a pretty good indication of where you want to cut the. So, don't look too bad. Well, it's a little more than leather hard on the bottom, so. It's the good thing about having 3 steps, because any mistakes I make here, I can stand away. This is pretty hard, so unfortunately.
What are you looking for at the side?
I don't know. Where's it go down there? I don't know.
Sorry I asked. That's a cool day.
Now, again, still pretty rough, but when it's, that goes over there. When it's bone dry, like this, then you can sand it. And I can't really sand stuff in here, but I can show them a little sanding. These are sanding sticks, and I just discovered them when I was doing this. I didn't realize it. Ray Hughes had them for forever, right?
Don't know how to use it.
But they're great, particularly for these facets, because they're hard. They're, you know, just the right size, so I mean, you can,
Amazon sells them and so does Temu.
yeah, well, Amazon has them,
Yeah,
and,
Temu.
and
No.
they're made by a company called XIEM. Exum, and they're on their website, and if you go on Amazon, you should look for XIEM sanding sticks, because there are other kind of sanding sticks. But, so, you know, you just keep, the danger is you're really having a good time sanding, and you sand too much. But this is the coarse sanding stick, and then, you know, if you really want it to be smooth, you can use, you know, the sanding sponge.
So is it sponge finer than the?
Yeah, I mean, there's a fine sanding stick, but I find that, I don't know, a little sponge seems to be better, I don't know, because it's soft or whatever.
Yeah.
So,
It's easy to hold.
and the, here's a little tiny one. Even when, having done all that, after it's a bisque, you know, it's still, it's gonna, if it's Amador or, you know, one of the reference clays, it's still gonna have, you know, more texture than you might want. If you really want it smooth, you use the, one of the still stones, you know, the white sticks that we sell, they're in the window. And you can totally smooth it if you want to. You know, there's a couple of facets that are smooth, and then there's some that are rough there.
Do you ever use, terra sigillata on that?
No, I've never done terrace.
Do those sanding sticks come in different
Yeah,
grits?
coarse, medium, and fine. I mostly use the coarse and the medium. And they just, you know, take off a lot of clay really fast, so. So, let's make a olive oil bottle. I think this, yeah, this one, that's the first one I threw, so it should be the driest.
Oh.
No faking. I'll be in big trouble.
You know, you don't have to make an olive oil. You don't have to make a bottle this big. I just do it because I want to have, you know, when I have a big bottle. You know, you can make something half this size if you want. The important thing to know about the cylinder is that it's thick. The bottom opening is about 2.25 or 2.5 inches wide. So it's a lot thicker down there than it is up here. And the walls up here again are about 3 inches thick.
How much clay do you think that is?
About 5 pounds, I think. So, but I mean, you can, you know, recycle it, you know, put it back in the bag. But,
John,
What's the reason for the bottom need to be thicker?
the bottom, well, I mean, that just naturally occurs, but, you know, to try and throw it where it's narrower at the bottom and wider at the top is beyond my skill level. So I like to leave it thick. And besides, I like to keep it fairly thick down there while I'm messing around with the top, because I don't want to push it off kilter, you know. So if it's thick down there, it's not going to get messed up. But having said that, I am going to trim off some of this down here, because we don't need it. And, you know, if we don't, we're gonna be doing it with the scraper. So. Before I do any more of that, so I'm gonna make, you know, a little spout. Starting out pretty good. No, I mean, this can be a vase, it can be, you know, all kinds of things. It doesn't have to be a bottle.
How long ago did you make that, did you throw that cylinder?
How long ago, what?
How long ago did you throw that?
Oh, this morning.
Like 7 hours ago?
No. Probably, no, I made it after, probably 2 o'clock,
Oh,
1 o'clock, 2 o'clock,
Okay.
something like that.
John, would you shake this, normally you would shake this after throwing, or you purposely leave it so you can demonstrate to us?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you.
You reshape this after throwing and sit it for a couple hours just to show us how to reshape this, or you? I'm trying to figure out that you purposely did this 2 steps,
Well,
or is it purpose to do that?
normally I use a heat gun, and
Oh, okay.
I would throw it and use the heat gun and speed up the drying process, so it's,
So it needs to be a little bit harder.
yeah.
Otherwise it would collapse inside.
So, no matter how hard you try, it's always a little uneven on top. Unless you're tin, then it's perfect.
That's what the needle tool was invented for.
I know.
Sure is all errors.
I'm gonna take some of this off because it's bugging me. There's a company called the Widget Company that sells nice corks, if you ever want corks for your bottle. They have all kinds of corks. The stainless steel pores for olive oil bottles. You can get them on Amazon, but they're not all equal.
How big do you leave the opening? What's the size?
How thick or
How
how
wide?
wide?
How wide?
Well, it's tricky because I make it about an inch, but it's gonna
It'll
shrink. And hopefully it'll shrink exactly the right amount for your thing to fit in there. Sometimes it doesn't. Then you just put a cork in it and it's a bottle. I'm guessing that's more than an inch, but. Okay, so, same thing, cutting, the facets use the same basic method, only they're a lot longer. You know, it's harder to do it without, you know, to keep it straight and so on. I'm gonna take a little bit more off the bottom. You know, I used to have my own studio in New Mexico. I mean, there was a big facility in, like this, but then there were private studios. And the woman who owned it, she always had, you know, there were classes but also all summer long, there were week-long workshops. And I took one or two of those, but usually I just would peek out of my studio and see how, you know, what they were doing. And that's how I learned to do this. So, I mean, most of it is me just figuring it out. So there could be a better way of doing it, but this is how I do it, so. Let's see. So, you know, I have to draw a little guide here, so. Again, I'm gonna want it to be about an 1/8 of an inch from the edge, I think. So the worst possible thing that can happen is that I would cut a hole in it.
Yeah.
Because then I mean, there's no fixing it once, you know, do that.
You can't see the inside.
That's right. Yeah, I mean, it's a lot easier with something like that.
Yeah.
With this, you know, game's over. I mean, when you're sanding things that are bone dry, and you make a hole, you can fix that. And I've done it. So, anyway, here goes nothing. Just try not to, especially up at the top, I have a tendency to make a gouge. And to take too much right at the top. That is really annoying. So. That's okay.
Those would be holes in the
I think he is.
We definitely are. Yeah.
There.
Oh.
There's a hole. Yep. Yep. That's why we have extra. Or, you know what,
Could be a teapot now.
yeah, no, I'll just keep going on this because.
So you are human after all.
Right?
The thing of it is, the next step is to work on a piece that's leather hard, so,
I can't hear.
like I already have the leather hard piece, so I'll just keep doing this. You know, sometimes the cylinder isn't equally thick, you know, you think it is.
John, isn't that where you cut it out to put the spout on?
Yeah, the spout's up here.
No, that's for filling. The spout is for filling.
Oh, there you go.
So you would wait till that was leather hard ordinarily?
No. I'm just saying, after this step, then you have to wait till it gets leather hard. Or, you know, like if you're me, you spend an hour drying it with the heat gun and then you proceed, you know, so.
When came about?
This is probably not good here. I don't know. Must be very thin up there. Guess I won't be keeping this one.
Make it shorter, so.
There you go. Make it a tumbler.
Yeah, see, there's another hole. It was obviously too thin at the top. So, just pretend that didn't happen.
What hole?
And,
I don't see any.
you know, if there were no holes, I would just take this and let it get leather hard.
Now you can make a tumbler.
So, well, I do this. That will be letting that get leather hard.
Yeah, I got
Put that in the recycle.
put it in a recycle.
And hand me the leather hard one. So, this one is leather hard, and I've already used the sure form on it a little bit, just so, you know, I don't know how long you wanna watch me, you know, do that. But, you know, up at the top, you can see how I had a hard time. I took more clay than I wanted, or, you know, it was very uneven the way I cut the facets, but, hopefully it'll all be evened out.
Is that all stony white, everything that?
Yeah. I mean, I did some with, Amador.
What is the tool you're using? Sure, I see.
And we sell them, and you can buy it on Amazon. They have it at Aardvark.
And Home Depot.
Or do they?
Yeah.
Woodworking too.
So,
They don't have that style at Home Depot.
one thing that's useful sometimes is just to mark roughly the center. And since we know that the inside is 2.5 inches,
Speak a
then
little louder.
we know that the inside is 2.5 inches. So I'm gonna mark what 2.5 inches is. But it gives me some idea how much to take off down here.
I think the mic went out.
He just needs to get a little closer.
You know. Generally I go past the 2.5 inches because I know
What?
I know it got compressed when I was, you know.
Did you hear what he said? I didn't hear.
So you see, I'm, you know, just trying to straighten it out. It's good to kind of look at it. Like that. And, you know, it's supposed to be I guess that's that's an octagon down there. So you keep looking at that, see if it's, you know, if it is. Yeah, sometimes it's not. And then you have you know, some of these are pretty bad. So,
I'm impressed that you get a straight plane with that curved Sureform.
well, it's very easy.
Well, I have to use a straight Sureform if I want it to be.
Well, you know, the one with the handle, it just, the handle gets in the way for me. You know, I can tell from the weight of this that there's, you know, I got a ways to go here, so it's not, I'm not too worried about making out another hole, but.
Pass that up, that's the kind I have to use to get a straight line. John? That's what I have to use to
Yeah.
get it straight.
Mine has a handle.
Well, there's, the handle also has a little curve. The one with the handle has a little.
It's curved.
Can you carry a straight one?
We do. Home Depot, the Home Depot stuff.
So, you know, I have a ways to go.
Whose phone is that? It's not mine. Oh, okay.
It's mine.
Gotten enough trouble with my phone.
So is there a pot diameter
Take my
that's
medicine.
too big,
Oh,
or
pot.
8?
What's that?
Or you get a thicker edge?
So,
Yeah, what he does is he makes 4. And then you can do whatever you want between the 4, so you can do 2.
I'm gonna work from the top now.
So he did even. Yeah.
You can spend hours doing this, can't you?
Yeah.
John, how long usually for you to, you know, just to do this?
What's that?
How long it will take you to just to try to straighten that up? Yeah. An hour?
A while.
Couple of
A
days,
while.
I'm gonna send
Yeah,
you.
you know, I'm not gonna,
Perfectionist, honey.
you know,
Not gonna put a number on it.
no, there's no point, in, you know, I'm not gonna finish the whole thing right here. I'm crazy. You know, it takes time to make these.
Patience.
A lot of motion.
Yeah, patience.
John, are you gonna make one of these square top, round bottom faces for us? Like the ones behind?
I'm gonna make,
Oh, yeah.
like the,
It's curved too. Yeah. Pass those behind you. Yeah, but they're actually not, they're square down. See, that's what he's working
So, I mean, you get the idea. I mean, you just keep doing this.
Just keep doing that.
I mean, they make
How
different
much cheese
widths.
slicer over there?
If it's not as wide as that.
For to do,
You know,
you
to
mean,
go-
yeah, but you're not, he's not fastening that, he's fastening round.
No, yeah, I know, but what do you do this?
So,
How's it doing that?
I don't know, that's why I wanna know if he's gonna do one for us.
this is what it looks like after you spend another hour doing it. It would be very strange to have a foot on something like this.
It is true. Sometimes, you never know, sometimes.
So anyway, you don't really want to say, finish this, right? So
That's good.
move on to the next thing.
Give it to Ryu, she'll.
You guys aren't keeping those, are you?
What happened, they never came back? Gee, I wonder why.
I was gonna give it to Ray.
I don't know where the other one went.
Oh, it's over, that's definitely.
Oh,
This is what I'm gonna make next. And it's a little bit smaller than what this will be, but you know, one of the reasons I make this kind of thing is because I like making things with edges. So you get, so the glaze breaks on the side. You know, I like the way it looks, but it also helps define the shape.
What
You
is
know,
that glaze, Sean?
Well, this is pink teal,
That's what I thought.
but normally it has a lot more going on in it. For some reason, this is really pretty solid blue, which I'm not that crazy about, but you know, it's okay.
Yeah, but it's got a nice break around the edges.
Yeah, it does. Pass it around.
What is it called?
So,
good question.
Honestly, I was all excited that we had. Wait.
Go back this way.
Send it back this way.
Honestly, this is the bone.
This is bone dry, so.
This is bone dry. She wants to touch it.
There,
you can touch it later.
Touch the biscuit.
there you go.
Are you okay with this?
This is totally different. You know, I am gonna cut some facets, but it's a totally different kind of approach, because I'm gonna make this square. And I have to make it square before I cut the facets. I mean, it's not gonna be completely square, but it's gonna be square-like.
Just quite the crowd we got here.
Is this one that you learned from peeking into the classes?
What?
Is this one that you learned from peeking into the classes?
Yeah.
See, that's
But,
pretty.
That's what I've been waiting to see, is this one.
And I paid a lot of money for my studio, so I don't
Okay.
feel bad. I mean, it's like $360 a month.
Whoa.
To sell a lot of battery.
Wow.
Yeah, well, I did sell a lot of
Just
butter.
fell on the
It was New Mexico, I could sell powder every week.
Oh, yeah.
fell on the floor below the mirror from his work table.
Anyway, I'm gonna thin this out, because I know,
Ouch.
Don't break the mirror, we found it.
Give me the other one, this one looks kinda.
The other one?
Why did you switch cylinders?
That one seemed a little cockeyed, so. It was kinda lopsided. And that's not good. Pat, you'll be glad to know that I'm gonna do something that I discovered watching something you did.
He's gonna run a fun board meeting.
No, I mean, I used to paddle these. I used to paddle them to make them flat on the side. But what happened with the taller pieces is that I knocked them lopsided. You know, and even if it's just the tiniest bit, makes life miserable. So I figured out a different way of doing it. But first, just have to make it square.
Oh, I thought it was really complicated. Wow, I could do that. That part.
Well, what I used to do was take the sponge on a stick. And I take the stick part, and it's got that kind of chubby handle on it there at the end. I would use it to create corners on the inside, but it thinned out the clay on the corners, and I ended up
Poking holes.
cutting through on the corners. So quit doing that. And now, once Pat was making, I think it was a bowl shape, but she flattened it with boards.
Yeah.
With what?
With
Oh,
boards.
boards.
She squashed it between boards.
Oh.
So I thought, I'm gonna try that.
Half boarding.
So, I mean, you deform it and then it'll come back. So you do two sides. I squish the bottom a little bit first and then.
So smart.
How do you get it not to stick?
Well, I mean, it's not sticky right now. I mean, it's been sitting around for a few hours. If I was in a hurry, I would just hit it with the heat gun and, you know. So,
Mystery solved. How to make a square.
I found these boards and put them in my locker a couple of days ago. 'Cause I was worried I wouldn't have any. 'Cause, you know, I have a special board.
So the clay has a tendency to wanna spring back to its original shape that you threw it, right?
Yeah, a little bit. I mean, the hardest part though is coming up where, now that I've made it square, I wanna make this round up here. That it does not wanna do. Especially now, cause it's set up pretty good, you know. So, I used to make these pieces by, I would throw that top right here on the, and I mean, it was really hard to do. And a lot of times it didn't work out because the clay is already square and then it's kind of dry and you know, the first time you did it, it didn't work, so you try it again. And by the time you got done, you know, you had a piece about this tall. So one day I just thought, why don't I just make that separate and stick it on? So that's what I do now. So, but I do have to make a place to put it. So this has to, you know,
Do that when it's square.
square. Just have to be wet. So that's the same way I make the lidded jars. The thing that with those is you have the same challenge because you have to make the gallery to put the lid on from the square, you know, from the square piece of clay, you know, so.
John, estimate the amount of the poundage of the clay, piece of clay you're working on.
This was a little over 5 pounds.
That's why I can't do pieces that tall. I don't go with 5 pounds of clay. I can send you 5 pounds. You're getting the John glare there. Didn't fall into your bowl, did it?
I didn't answer.
Is that ultimately going to be square? John, is that ultimately going to be square? It's only going to have 4 sides?
That's right. That's why we made it square.
Yeah, but it's got more than 4 sides.
Yeah, it does.
No, it does right now.
Just checking, my friend, just checking. For 2.
So,
If you stand up in the car.
But the ones over there are narrow at the bottom, and this one is square.
it'll get narrower on the bottom. It will become narrower on the bottom.
Okay.
eventually.
I trust you, John.
Do you leave it kind of extra thick when you're going to make the square? So you have more to work with?
No, I mean, it's the same
Okay.
thickness.
I think that's more work than all my little flower painting.
So you start to make it square here.
So you work but you're working the tops first.
Yep.
And then you'll,
Yeah, I mean, you have to, because it's stuck to the wheel right now. And it's a good place to start.
uh-huh. Rather than trying to do a whole side and then.
Yeah. So, you're not gonna cut more, it's just gonna shade it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Be all shaving now. And the thing of it is, it's, in this stage, you really don't want to do too much of this because it's soft and you're shaving it, but you're also pushing on it. And you can
Yeah, throw it off.
push into it,
Yeah.
you know. And you don't want to do that. So I just do enough to give myself, you know, it's a kind of a guide for what comes next.
Do you normally do this after leather art?
Right, normally what?
Do this shaving when it's a leather art?
Yeah, that's what that is over there.
So it seems like square is harder than the, what do you call that?
Yes, because you got a lot more hands at work.
Scarier.
So this one is not too perfect anyway, because you know, it's just a little off center, which makes this stop not perfect. I mean, I could fix it, but so normally I would just stop here or spend an hour trying it with the heat gun. But I made that on Sunday, and I did this morning do a little bit with it. So. it's still really soft, I think.
Too short.
This is like Cirque du Soleil.
So this is nice and leather hard now. And, you know, it's just, shaping it now. It looked just like that one, you know, this morning, so, and most of the weight is at the bottom.
Which makes it very easy to narrow it.
You're gonna try to taper it like this one?
Yeah.
But are you gonna make the smaller at the bottom, kind of that shape?
Mhm.
Yeah. This shape?
Yeah,
Okay.
potentially. I mean, they don't all turn out like that. I mean, this one I don't think will be quite that.
And you do it all with the Sureform?
This was gonna probably look like this. You know, there are some that are,
You throw that little top piece on the wheel too?
yeah. Yeah. So,
Oh, yeah.
and,
Looks like a lid that I made a mistake on.
you know, these are more square and not so, it's tapered, you know.
So you do all the tapering with the Sureform?
Yep. Well, no, that's not true. I do a lot of it then with the, when I'm sanding it with the sanding sticks. Because at a point, it's a little dangerous to keep going with the Sureform because it takes off a lot. And you're sanding,
Look, Gloria.
and it's bone dry at that point. So,
Thought I was gonna hit
You always, I mean, I'm presuming you always use the Sureform, taking off clay in one direction only.
not always. I
Oh,
might,
really? Okay.
I might, you know, take some off the top to, you know, go in the other way if I,
Okay. I mean, but you sand so you don't risk getting like kind of the busy marks.
right. No, I wouldn't go at a right angle.
Yeah.
That wouldn't look good. You know, what I'm trying to do is create a nice sharp edge a lot of the time. That's part of it. Because that's what it's all about. Usually go a little slower, but I don't. I know this is not that exciting to watch. But this is, you know, amateur.
We got the idea.
This is what I do.
So how much
I
time you
used to have
spend on
in bed.
that piece?
I'm
You
gonna
don't wanna
speed it
know.
up on the.
You don't wanna know? Like 3-4 hours each
Oh,
piece?
no. Sanding, no.
More than that?
8
No,
hours.
no.
You said an
Sanding
hour with the
was-
thick gun and shaver for an hour.
Do you ever use a needle tool to measure the thickness at the bottom? To know how much you can take off? That's already close.
Well, I don't know how you would measure it with a needle tool.
Can you stick a needle tool in there without damaging it?
Well, but I mean, there's no way of being on the inside of it.
You don't know where it ends.
Yeah.
It just goes
I mean, I
in.
guess you could look.
know.
See from here.
Right.
I think the
There's nothing to
answer to
stop
that
it.
question is that's
Yeah.
for us amateurs. John, I think, can gauge that with his fingers when he makes the when he does the first pull. Am I right, John?
Oh, yeah.
You said chords.
Just say
Yes,
yes.
dear.
Just say yes.
Unless he has one of those angled needle tools. Do you have an angled needle? Or a needle tool that has a right angle?
Is it? There's something like that?
I just made it up.
Good job.
Okay, so you get a very thin sewing needle, and you paint it neon. And then you draw a line at, say, about half an inch. And then you stick it in, shine your iPhone.
God. You make that decision with your first throw. It's this big. You go in and you make it. What's the matter with you people?
Well, I mean, when you're sanding it, you can hear, it sounds different.
Oh, wow.
Or you can tap it, as Ray pointed out to me the other day, I forgot about that. If it's a thud, if it's a dull sound, it's thick. If you hear a bit of a tone, it's gotten pretty thick. So, you know, I mean, I've cut through it to sure form, but you're more likely to sand through it.
Pat, I'm like you, because John is using the curved one, and it's flat.
I don't like the flat one. I don't.
But you're very good, you know, using this, you can make it flat.
Experience.
You have to use the flat one to make it flat.
I didn't know there was a flat one.
I've used it for woodwork.
Oh,
That's where that comes from
it's
woodworking.
meditating.
I mean, this is kind of like, you know, woodwork.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
true,
is.
You're
exactly.
just carving.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean,
Still got to go.
I could keep doing that for a while, you know, and, but, you know, it's not too far off at this point. But I would put that thingy on.
Turn it on now?
You want some slip?
No,
Water.
this has got no little drive for this. get any drier, that's why I'm doing it now. I don't use slip on a lot of stuff. I mean, this makes slip, you know, this is
Yeah,
kind of,
yeah.
you know. And then I use magic water, which melts all this kind of, makes it gooey, you know.
What is in magic water, do you know?
Magic.
I think it's vinegar, isn't it? Vinegar and water?
I think you deserve that.
Wait, really actually called magic water?
Yes,
Yeah.
it's called, yeah.
There's a bottle of it right there. It says magic water on it.
Oh. Some vinegar in there.
2 tablespoons sodium silicate. 1 tablespoon
Soda
soda
ash.
Oh,
ash.
soda ash, that's
Yeah.
right.
And
Yeah.
sodium.
No vinegar. I thought vinegar was in there.
I thought, yeah.
No, vinegar and water is a way to make a poor man's,
Dressing.
magic water. No, this water and vinegar is another way of making a more adhesive water to mix, to make, with either making slip or doing slip by just the scoring and
So you can put vinegar and
vinegar and water, yeah.
natural
A
forming.
little bit of salad oil, shake it up real good, pour it on your lettuce.
Not that stuff. Teeny weeny little magic water.
Poof!
Yeah. I use a lot of magic water. They say, just use a drop. No, don't use a drop. Use a gallon.
It's a gallon.
Oh, how cute.
And here, I thought he figured out how to throw that little thing. I'm disappointed in you, John.
Until the
I
easier
don't
way.
know,
Throwing that little washer there.
Yeah, but I thought he threw it right as part of the bottle, the jar.
Well, like I say, I used to do that. It was
That's cool.
ineffective.
What part of it was
You
smart?
shattered the mystique.
So,
Predictable.
you know, another couple of days of sanding and
Couple of days.
Days?
you had a masterpiece.
He's gotta smooth out the lid. Inside, the outside, the rim.
So.
Is magic water hard on your skin?
Well, don't drink it.
Thank you. How are your fingers? Well, none of them have fallen off, so I guess it can't be too bad.
So. Not perfect at this point, but it will get better.
It's beautiful.
It's lovely.
Yeah.
It's beautiful.
Better than I could do that.
Yeah, thank
Thank
you,
you.
John.
So who's gonna clean this up?